Hello, Steve Mills here with my podcast. It's great to be back on results and improving results. Now, I know what you're thinking. Yeah, right, Steve. You know, what are the chances of me improving my results right now? The world's in lockdown, the country's in lockdown, things are terrible and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, I know all that, and I know it's very, very difficult. We're all now working from home. I'm recording this in my back garden. I got my bulldog here who's behaving badly at the moment, trying to eat all my plants, but no doubt we'll manage to stop him do that as soon as I finish this podcast. So I wanted to just talk to you because, you know, we hear so much negativity right now and it's easy to be drawn into it. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to paint a pretty picture here. I'm not going to say, look, you know, this is not as bad as everybody's saying. In truth, it could be worse. You know, I really don't know. I think that's the key. Nobody really knows what's going to happen. We've all got our thoughts and the government's doing what it says and the NHS are doing what they do, and we're all, you know, trying to get a vaccine and so on and so forth, and we're all hoping that what we're doing is the right thing and that in, you know, 3 months, perhaps 6 months, this is all going to be over with and we'll be in a much better situation. So the question is, you know, what are you going to do in the meantime? Now, you know, I actually believe that two things that you should be doing are these. One is setting some goals, you know, set some goals for your business. Now, the goals that I had for my business 2 months ago are no longer even relevant. They're a million miles away from what I'm certainly going to achieve in the next 6 months. So if that's the case, then, you know, what are my current goals? And step two is to then produce a plan in order to achieve the goals. Now, if your goal is to survive, which really, I suppose my goal is certainly for the next 90 days, to still be here in 90 days, still in business after 25 years, you know, and my goal is to survive, then, you know, if that's the case, then that's the case. So we've got to form a plan to get us there. Now, having said all that, there's a couple of other things that I want you to bear in mind right now. Number one, what would you think, what would you believe is the current situation around social media? Do you think that more people are on social media now? Do you think that, you know, use of Facebook has increased? Do you think that use of LinkedIn and Twitter has increased? Would you suggest that more people are looking at content right now on social media? If you answered yes, then you'd be right. You know, Facebook are 1%. You know, YouTube are similar. And, you know, do you think as people stay at home and get more and more bored, they're going to get even more into social media or less into it? What would your obvious answer be? If it's anything like mine, then it would be, yeah, of course they will, Steve. They'll use it even more. So if that is the case, which I'm sure it is, then, you know, could you argue, would you make a case for the fact that really what you need to be thinking about doing is not cutting back on your marketing, but potentially increasing it? Now, don't get me wrong. When I say that, everybody's going, oh yeah, he would say that. He's a marketing guy, you know, he's trying to sell me something. No, I'm not. I'm not trying to sell you anything. I'm trying to sell you on the idea of working on your business still, even in this tough times, even when you probably won't create any leads. Having said that, this week, I've created 2 leads. I got 2, sorry, no, that's not quite true. I created 2 sales. I did only get 2 leads, but both of them converted. And they're for me to do some online training. You know, how cool is that? Even in, you know, tough times, we can win business. It doesn't mean that we can't. And I know there are certain industries out there that are flourishing. For example, the cleaning industry. You know, offices and everywhere needs cleaning more to make sure, you know, that things are heading in the right direction. So, you know, if you're in business, then, there's still an opportunity, even now, for you to, grow your business. Now, based on the fact that more people are using social media, what would you say is true about the internet? Internet usage. Would you think the internet's being used more? The fact that we've got all these people working from home, online, even the use of the internet, broadband width is coming into question. Will the service providers be able to cope with the problem of the fact that more usage is up? I've heard 30%, somebody told me 40%, but I don't know quite what the case is, but I do know that there's more people spending more time more often on the internet. So again, is that an opportunity for you and I, people who want to market their business online? Again, I want to reiterate, I'm not suggesting that, all of a sudden in these tough times, because you market your business online, you're going to get more leads. What I am suggesting, though, is that, really, I suppose, doing marketing right now, if you're, posting and sharing videos and doing podcasts like this one, and you're putting those out on LinkedIn and Facebook and Twitter and YouTube and so on and so forth, getting them out there. This goes out on, I think it's about 10 different places. It's out on iTunes and loads of social media and podcast sites and so on. If you're doing that, then, will that create leads today? Well, it could do, but it might not do. But what it will do, I believe, is create brand loyalty. It'll create awareness. It'll enable people to consume content, and hopefully, from my point of view, if they think this content is good, if they think this guy called Steve Mills knows what he's talking about and could advise them and help them in their business, they might not be doing so today, but in the future, once they get into a situation where they're listening to me on a regular basis, then I really do believe sincerely that that's only going to increase the amount of business that I win going forward. So that's really my message. That's all I've got to say. I hope that was of interest to you. I hope it inspired you to, not just sit back and say, well, what will be, will be. It's just terrible times. Isn't it all awful? It is all awful, but what are you going to do about it? Let's move our business forward and try and do our best to make sure that we're all still around in business, as well as personally, obviously make sure you look after yourself, you work from home, you don't meet up with people, and I suppose at the end of the day, the number one thing is your health. So that said, thank you ever so much for listening, and I look forward to speaking to you on my next podcast. Thank you very much for listening.